7B, Chapter 131-18, offenses, use of tobacco products in Henry Law Skate Park, school grounds, and athletic fields, sponsored by Mayor Trefethen by request.
All right, this is our second of three public hearings. This one on the restrictions in certain parts of Henry Law Park. This public hearing is open. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter?
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks.
So, hello, my name is Brian Eldridge. I'm a junior at Dover High School.
I'm Chase Rachosi, and I'm a freshman at Dover High School.
I'm Avery Munoz. I'm an 8th grader at Dover Middle School.
So, we are all members of Dover Youth to Youth and are here to speak in favor of this proposed ordinance change. Dover Youth to Youth is an underage drinking and drug abuse prevention program run through the Outreach Department of the Dover Police Department. There are about 70-plus members in our group, and we range in grades from 6 through 12 from Dover and surrounding communities. Throughout the year, we do a variety of projects, including radio public service announcements, presentations in schools, and other action-based events that help make Dover a better and safer place. So we have proposed this ordinance change, which would restrict smoking in portions of Henry Law Park, and more specifically in front of the band shell, as well as in front of the Dover Children's Museum, and as well as a portion in the rear of the park, more specifically behind the facility, in front of the Dover Indoor Pool. There's a small playground area right there where we would like to restrict smoking.
So we've recently found out that there's been a large amount of smoking going on in the upper section of Henry Law Park near the Dover Rotary Band Shell. We noticed this problem last year during the Kachiko Art Festival shows, and a lot of us on our own time have just been there and noticed a large amount of smoking going on. There's also been a considerable amount of smoking going on near the premises of the playground area in the rear near the Dover Indoor Pool. And that concerns us a lot because there's, of course, a large amount of children that use that playground area. So up here on the PowerPoint, if you look around you, we've got a couple of visuals. We've displayed just a portion of the ground at Henry Law Park. This is in the upper section of Henry Law Park. And if you can see, there's a lot of cigarette butts just all around there. And so we noticed this. And so this past summer, during our annual youth summer training program, we sent a team of our own youth up to Henry Law Park, and just for a quick half an hour, we had them pick up as many cigarette butts as they could in just the upper section of Henry Law Park. So on the screens around you, you can see just the pictures of our youth team going up and picking up those cigarettes. So in that just half an hour that we were picking up cigarettes, we picked up 926 cigarettes, and we have those cigarettes displayed in the jar, and Avery's going to show you. So we have those cigarettes, and we collected them, put them in the jar right there. So we thought this problem was a huge problem, and we thought it really needed changing because it affects not only the adults in this area, but also youth.
The area that we would like smoking to be restricted in would be the area within the black fence along Washington Street across from the Noggin Factory, as you can see up on the visuals. Also, the area within the black fence along Henry Law Avenue across from the old Foster's building. Also, as you see in the visuals, that's just the old Foster's building up in the left-hand corner. And then also the area inside of the sidewalk that runs along Henry Law Avenue. And as you can see, this would just be the visual facing up towards Central Avenue. And you can't really see it, but that's just the bandshell area down on the right. And also the area would be back behind the indoor swimming pool, that playground area. And this would end right along that sidewalk for the playground. And so just to give you an idea of where it is, it's the playground area behind the pool all the way up out into front of the band shell. And that playground is just sandwiched between the parking lot and the indoor swimming pool.
So we feel this is important because smoking and the resulting litter that comes from it can make the area very uninviting for children and their families. And The park, at least the upper section, serves two major functions. There's a lot of shows that play there, and specifically the shows for the Kashiko Arts Festivals are played there, and a lot of families and children attend that, as well as the park acts as kind of an entranceway to the Children's Museum in New Hampshire, where a lot of families and children are attending as well, and that can make it kind of uninviting for that population to move through that area.
You have 1 minute left.
So we've contacted several organizations who would have an interest in the park to see how they feel about this issue. The executive director of the New Hampshire Children's Museum, Justine Roberts, enthusiastically supports the idea. The Dover Chamber of Commerce's executive director also supports the idea, and the Chamber's Government Affairs Committee voted to also support this idea. Lastly, we contacted the Dover Rotary Club, and they sponsored the Dover Rotary Bandshell, and they made a big investment in the park in general, including the Dover Rotary Gardens, and they're also in favor of restricting smoking in this part of the park.
Dover Youth would also be willing to help fundraise, to help pay for any signage that would need to go up, just around the fenced area and around the playground, just so that there's no confusion whether it is a smoking or a smoke-free area.
So we feel this is a reasonable step to take just because we're not trying to restrict the entire park. We're just trying to restrict portions of the park that are very popular for families and children to use, and that the presence of smoking can make this uninviting, and by restricting these areas, the amount of litter from the smoking would be greatly reduced. So thank you very much for your time. We'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, thank you. We're all set for now.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else for this topic? Once again, we have a public hearing on the use of tobacco products in certain parts of Henry Law Park. Anyone else? Seeing none, this public hearing is closed. Thank you.
A2, Chapter 131-18, offenses, use of tobacco products in Henry Law Skate Park, school grounds, and athletic fields, sponsored by Mayor Trefethen by request. Motion to approve.
All right, second from Councilor Crago. Once again, this is restricting the use of tobacco products within 3 areas of Henry Law Park, one of which is already restricted, being the skate park. The other 2 areas that are being added are the area in front of the Rotary Bandshell, and then the area directly behind the pool where the playground is, between the pool and the parking lot. Councilor Whedon.
I don't know if an amendment could be made, but it seems to me that there's going to be a lot of confusion when on one side of a parking lot near the pool you can't smoke, but on the other side you can smoke. And the problem I have is that I fear that a lot of people are going to light up in the smoking area of Henry Law Park and then meander towards the non-smoking area of Henry Law Park, and it could cause problems. To me, I think it would be simpler to just blanket ban smoking in the entire park and make it one simple thing. Or don't do it at all. I'm personally in favor of having the ban in Henry Law Park due to some of the reasons that were submitted, but I do think that this should just be a complete cover of the entire park, and if they don't want to smoke, then they don't have to go there.
All right, you're making that.
I am making an amendment, yes.
I have to ask, before we get a second on that, can we make a change that dramatic at this point in time? We just had the public hearing, which was proposing a restricted, and now we're going for the whole park. Can we make a change by amendment?
You can make a minor change. It's up to the council to figure out whether or not that change is a minor or a substantial change. I don't think you can make a substantial change without going back to a public hearing.
Okay. All right, so the motion is to amend to make all of Henry Law Park non-smoking. Do we have a second on that? No second. Motion dies. Back to the original. Any further discussion? Deputy Mayor.
Has there been any discussion on how they'll enforce this with signage? I mean, the black fencing that goes along Central Ave and down Henry Law, I mean, is it going to be every 8 feet, the non-smoking, and all around? I just was, a little concerned that I wouldn't want to see a nice park being plastered with non-smoking signs, that's all. That's just...
Mr. Manager, what would be the level of signage and where? Do you know on this?
Well, it would have to be signed, so it would be enforceable. I don't know the level of signage. I don't know if the police chief can comment on that. But I expect that we would probably put signs along the fence, probably mounted to the fence itself at each entrance area, and then on the corners where the fence does not exist.
Yeah, and I agree. We don't want to have too much signage, and we may can definitely convene on this, talk about it. But you could also do a diagram of what areas are, one of the signs. But I would say just a few signs. And as far as enforcement goes, just like on school grounds and the current areas that we can't, big open areas that, it is. I can't remember the last time we issued a summons on there, but we have talked to a lot of people, warned a lot of people, informed a lot of people that, this is a non-smoking area and where they could go. So in this instance, we could say you could just go across the street and smoke. Similar to you can't smoke inside a restaurant, people going outside and going to areas where they can't smoke. So, but I don't anticipate it being, the area being plastered with signage.
Any other questions or comments on this? Councilor Hooper.
Yeah, I've been watching Youth to Youth for 11 years now, as from part of the school board and part of the city councilor, and I am so impressed with those young people, I cannot tell you. I've heard them testify in Concord. They are an incredible group. I don't know whether or not it's going to cause difficulty to have just part of the park non-smoking, or whether Councilor Whedon's suggestion that we just make the whole park a non-smoking area. I don't know which way we would reasonably go, but I will say that I just applaud these kids for what they've done over the years and the strides they've made, and at least bringing our attention to the fact that people should not be smoking in areas where there are small children, for example. And I would raise this question, Chief, if I might, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, but would you see it a better thing if we were to take the whole park and make it non-smoking, or do you think that it's enforceable to do it just piece by piece?
Well, I think the group, the youth group and the advisors, really, they all thought it through.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to pick such a large area as to try to overreach. And the area they delineated actually makes a lot of sense. It's where the playground where the kids are, the band shell where the kids are, as opposed to the large park.
Right.
And I just think that in thinking it through and being briefed on what they were trying to do, I thought it was very well thought out and reasoned. And I think it could work the way it is worded originally, and the way the students decided to present it to the council.
Good to hear. I know they do think things through. Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else on this item? Councilor Cheney.
Yes, I'd like to see minimal signage too, and if they are going to raise money, that they would spend it on internal use, supporting the program.
Seeing no one else, please answer the call of the roll.
Yeah.
Oh, Councilor Whedon.
I do have one more thing that Councilor Cheney just asked. Is the format of this ordinance in the correct format with the entire strikeout and replaced version? I just want to make sure before we vote on it. So I figured I'd ask.
I believe it is. We are removing in the title, we're removing the word skate in Henry Law Skate Park to make it just Henry Law Park. And we are adding a whole section that we're adding, the rest of it is strictly adding language. There's no other strikeouts, which is underlined.
Okay.
The part that we were looking at was according to the form under C38, where it states, any ordinance which repeals or amends an existing ordinance shall set out in full the ordinance, and then there's a comma, sections or subsections to be repealed or amended. So we were just wondering if it's to set out in full the ordinance or just the subsections to be. So it's more of a language question on this one.
I believe this is the entire section of the ordinance.
Okay.
This is 131-18.
It would make sense that it's an or, but I'm expecting to support this. I was just questioning the format, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else on this matter? Seeing none, please answer the call of the roll.
Counselor Crago?
Yes.
Counselor Garrison?
Yes.
Counselor Hooper?
Yes.
Counselor Spieler?
Yes.
Mayor Trefethan?
Yes.
Counselor Whedon?
Yes.
Counselor Weston?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Carrier?
Yes.
Counselor Cheney?
Yes.
Passes 9-0.